Final thing with movement. You said that you've been kind of a fan of Ido Portal and his movement for a while. We obviously saw Ido and Conor hook up. I know Conor had been a fan of Ido for a long time and was doing a lot of the lizard walks and stuff. But them together was something that, I know Ido really well, but the UFC and the Irish fans to see on open workout where you expect the typical. De rigueur open workout is we hit the pads, we do a couple takedowns. If you're Ronda, she does some hip throws, and then you go. And Conor's giving almost the opposite of the fans, doing the crazy things, the Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader thing, the lizard walks, which I do now because I did a 2-day experience with Ido, and I do think Ido's has some very important things to say, and it takes you a while to understand what Ido's all about. From the surface, he does look like you used to train in China in the hills. He looks like probably some Shaolin monk.
Right? Yeah, he does.
But he's obviously doing some great functional things, and even him and Conor say he's a white belt when it comes to movement. Where do you see this whole kind of Ido Portal influenced Conor McGregor movement style taking us? It used to be John Bones Jones kind of was doing some things a few years ago that we didn't see with flow, but Conor seems to be taking it to another level.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, the sport's been moving in this direction for a long while, and I think looking back into earlier stages of my career, particularly when I joined the UFC and I had time between training camps, between fights to, cycle on, cycle off and do my heavy lifting and my building stuff. So I got heavy, big and strong. There was much more of a professional rugby player's kind of structure to the way that we would train, or a professional boxer, or you know what I mean, something like that. And no one really knows what we're doing with mixed martial arts training. I mean, we know the styles that work now. We know that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is predominantly what you need for the ground game. We know if you're a good freestyle wrestler, you can control the range of the fight. And really, we know if you're a good Thai boxer with a few additional tricks and this and that, you can be a very effective striker. But the actual underlying foundation of the sport of mixed martial arts, we didn't know how to prepare for that. I remember running down the River Trent, pulling my coach on his BMX with a harness. I remember carrying logs through the forest on my back. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't really know what we were doing. We'd kind of make it up as we went along. I remember hitting bags with no gloves until my knuckles bled so I could condition my hands. I mean, I think back now, I think, well, that's kind of backwards. That was like so counterproductive. And now I think that the physical foundation of the sport of mixed martial arts is much more equipped to prepare somebody for a high level fight like Conor McGregor. I think the natural movement patterns are far more applicable to the sport. I mean, if you think of the ground game, my warm-up for grappling now is literally just to move around and to have just my hands and my feet touching the floor, but to move myself in so many different planes that I'm challenging almost every muscle in my body as I'm doing it. And I think that, before, when people would warm up, they'd jog on the spot for a bit, they'd do 10 push-ups and they'd run the lap around the mats, and we were like, okay, we're ready.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu warm-up, right around the mats.
Exactly. There are elements of the sport that we're missing in the gym that can really be enhanced by these movement patterns. Like, just, people's ability to defend takedowns, to recover guard, to create scrambles. Like, if you look at a guy like Luke Rockhold, he is fantastic at defending a takedown, creating a scramble and taking someone's back. Now, powerlifting is not going to help him do that, but intelligent movement patterns are going to help educate his neuromuscular system to put him in the right positions and be balanced. If you look at Jacare ironing somebody out on the floor, he's not even thinking about what he's doing, but his movement patterns are so well adapted to the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that it's second nature for him. It's full reptiles taking over, and he's just allowing it to be. Yeah. And that's where movement patterns come in, because it trains the body in a much more natural method than any other kind of training.
The strange thing is because of the prevalence of YouTube, and now because of BT Sport and UFC on every video, is that like the 9-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 7-year-olds, these memes are going in their heads. And just like how we all used to have the UFC fighter is part Thai boxer, part wrestler, part Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then now that used to be like what you would do and what you would see. And so now when you start seeing someone flowing and moving, maybe that's the seeds of what the sport's going to be in 10 years.
Yeah. And it's not like we've not seen it before as well. I mean, if you watch a freestyle wrestler warming up, You know, even there's Competitor Supreme. It's the Dan Gable documentary from years ago, and it's about him training his team at Iowa. I mean, just watch some of the stuff that they're doing, some of the movement patterns that they're doing. I mean, obviously they're just drilling techniques, but their movement patterns are very similar to the stuff that Ido Portal does. All he's done is he's focused on the movement much more than the outcome. You know, like when you're shooting a double leg, you're doing the same kind of movements. You're lowering your level, and the transition that you're going through with your hips is exactly the same as some of the walks that they've been doing on the beach that you would see them doing with Conor McGregor. But they're focusing much more on the process of the movement than the actual outcome of getting the takedown and finishing it. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to watch. It's almost like ballet, you know. It's like watching Tai Chi. When I was in Beijing, when I've been training there was one morning I got up specifically to go to the park just to watch all the old people do Tai Chi. And I didn't join in, but I just sat and watched, and it was just, it's like a ballet, it's a dance. And I think any kind of controlled movement is a beautiful thing to watch.
To watch the rest of this fascinating interview, click on the link below and go to londonrealacademy.com. There you can sign in with your social media, log in and watch the rest of the episode for free, along with all of our episodes on London Real, my webinars, and all of our premium content, all located over at londonrealacademy.com. So click on the link below, you'll be directed there and you can watch the rest of this fascinating interview, and I'll see you there.